Good morning, YouTube. Thanks for tuning in to Total Payout Podcast. You're now tuned in with your host, Trouble, aka Merc the Book. Okay, now I was gonna go ahead and do a quick recap of yesterday. Kind of got beat up yesterday. We had the over in the Sienna game, and we had the Thunder plus 4.5, and then we had the Phoenix Suns plus 3. Starting with the Sienna game, went under by a bucket. I mean, we can point to any point of that game where we missed free throws, missed whatever, layups, whatever. But it went under by a point and a half, or maybe 2 points. One more bucket, a 2 pointer would have went over. It is what it is, man. Sometimes you win by the hook, sometimes you lose by a bucket. It is what it is, lose by a hook. Sometimes it's like that. Good and over to the NBA. We did have a Thunder plus 4. Like I said, that game was kind of easy for me to call, man. Uh, it went exactly how I looked at it. Cleveland walked in lackadaisical, down 20 first 5 minutes of the game. Money line first half Thunder, like I said. As far as what I liked in that game, and then once Cleveland got their act together, the Thunder was already ready not to lose the game. Regardless of who was on the floor, they didn't want to lose that game. So to me, it was one of those games where I kind of looked at that game. I didn't have to handicap it. I know how it goes. You want to play the best when you in the NBA because that's what it is. Sometimes you got to play against sorry teams and you just don't want to play, and those teams win the games or they cover big spreads. The Thunder getting points at home is a great bet. They're gonna lose some games, but they're not gonna get blown out. So it is it was what it was. Now the Phoenix game, on the other hand, went the opposite direction. When I'm watching that game, I kind of looked at my I didn't go too deep into that game. I just faded Portland more than I looked at Phoenix, and that was my mistake. So I'm gonna eat that crow with that one and learn from experience. Obviously, I've learned from that before, but just looked at that game, looked at Portland, looked at Portland didn't have, looked at who Phoenix didn't have, and I felt like obviously they're both wounded soldiers, but their best players are out. But at the same time, Phoenix at home didn't work out that way. So we're gonna take that on the chin, man, and we're gonna go ahead and try to bounce back and have a better day today. Now just it's a short slate today. I really don't. I do handicap all games, but the games, I pretty much looked at the games that are outside the TV games, and I feel like I didn't want to waste my time on those games today. It's a short slate. Might as well go ahead and try to sharp bet today instead of trying to what could I say? Just trying to just do something because something on the board, skipping. So I do got one college game that I like, and then I got one NBA game that I like. So I'm gonna start with the college game. I'm gonna roll with the North Carolina and the Louisville game out of all the college games today. This game is a repetitive for me. Looking at the line, they got North Carolina plus 3.5. Um, Saturday, same line would do. I just look at that game. Obviously, North Carolina is not like North Carolina of the past, and they don't have their super sensational rookie. But it's college basketball, man. I look at Louisville, NC State, certain teams are NIL teams. And what I mean by that is they went to the pool, got all the 5 years, 6 years, some 7 year seniors, and threw them all on one team, which might be good in some instances as far as having the depth and having the knowledge and having the experience. But, as we all know, that youth always shines through. It's a reason why these dudes been in college 5, 6 years. So I just think that a North Carolina team being at home gonna be rocking. I just don't see Louisville going in there, and they can do it. Obviously, it's basketball, but I just don't. I don't like the line. If it was a pick or something, or Louisville plus one, I'll probably be like, but giving me 3.5 points, like I say, 3 pointer or two buckets, however you want to look at it, two pointers, whatever. Give it to me. I'm taking it with the home team. Just going over a quick little rundown. Louisville 20-7 straight up. North Carolina 21-6 against the spread. Louisville is on the losing side. They're 13-14 against the spread. North Carolina 15-12 against the spread. Total wise, they're both under teams. I kind of like the under, but I just didn't want to pull it because I'm like I said, I get kind of nervous with unders. I bet both ways depending on what's strong. I got a good my total is coming at 154. I think it was 162 or something like that. Yeah, 162. I got mine at 154, but it's just I like North Carolina getting the 3 points better at home than playing with the total. If I see them go over the first half and they shoot and play 180 something, I might take it under that with a lower scoring second half. If I see something like that, I will roll with that. But I just starting out the game, I like the spread. Now in conference, these teams are mirroring each other. They're both 9-5 in the ACC. They're actually this is a critical game for positioning. These aren't two of the best teams in the ACC. Louisville seventh and North Carolina sixth. Like I said, North Carolina is not North Carolina of years past where they're top one, two, three behind Duke, something like that. They're actually six. So, this is not a great North Carolina year. But this is a good ACC. This year it's a decent ACC. It's like Big Ten, kind of like the Big Ten last year, where you had a lot of great teams in the Big Ten, and it was like, oh man, we don't know who's gonna go down to the Final Four to the big game. So, um, as far as head to head, North Carolina is like we said, we know they're North Carolina, so they're 7-3 straight up last 10. Pretty even against the spread, 5-5. They are to the under 3-6-1. So like I said, I like the under if I did touch the total. I mean, I might look at something on some just playing around. But as far as my official, I like North Carolina, but the under is something that I will take a look at. Um, the main thing that made me pull the trigger on this game was I want to say is Louisville on the road against the spread. Now, and because they're a favorite, that's what really gets me. They're 2-6 against the spread. I'm sorry, yeah, 2-6 against the spread away. North Carolina at home, 10-6. So the home team 10-6 getting plus 3.5. The road team got a covered 3.5, and they're only 2-6. Give me the home team, who I probably think fully staffed will be uh better than them. So I just think that's just a play that I'm gonna go ahead and roll with today. North Carolina plus 3.5 over Louisville at home. Now getting to the NBA, like I said, I'm gonna go with one play in the NBA. No props, just a quick little bet on the spread, and it's gonna be between the Detroit Pistons and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, this game was kind of tough for me. Not necessarily like it was like tough for me to make a choice because I had a specific number in my head. Um, because I was going to take this game last night, but what made me pause was using my, I don't want to say square cap. I don't like talking in those terms when it comes to gambling, sports betting. But I had to just for the sake of lingo, I had to put on my square cap yesterday. I mean, yeah, last night, as far as handicapping this game. So my magic number for this game that I like San Antonio at was plus 3.5. If I can get them at something like that, they opened, I think it was like 2.5. So I was skeptical of that number. It was just one of them numbers where Detroit up 1 or 2 in the last minute, and you got to foul if they don't make that bucket to tie it up or go ahead. Spurs got to foul. You know how it goes. Lose by 3 or 4. I usually, if I like a team like that, I have to have the hook on top of the 3, a hook on top of the 4, because I know how the last minute or 2 goes. And you're asking the team to they're down 4 or 5, and you're asking them to hit that bucket that doesn't mean anything at the end of the game. And I hate watching a 48-minute game and it comes down to the last meaningless shot. That's like the worst way for me to lose a game. I will literally be super mad at myself for the rest of the day. If I lose a game watching the whole entire game and it literally comes down to the team I have making or missing a shot that does not matter as far as a win or a loss, it's just a spread. And obviously that's why we bet spreads. But I would rather, lose by 30 than lose by, okay, you got to hit this shot, even though you're just throwing it up from half court. Or sometimes they don't even shoot it. They just dribble it out. So yeah, I hate losing like that. So that's why I say I have to have that hook on that 3.5, 4. I got this game as Detroit -2. Seeing this game has been bought down to basically a pick. I'm taking Detroit. I like Detroit money line. That's why I said if I'm taking the Spurs 3.5, 4, I'm taking them. But because the minus, at that line -160 on Detroit, kind of sketchy. Kind of nervous about it because Wemby's gonna go out. It's gonna be a good game today. But basically -110 just to win straight up. I like Detroit. I like Detroit. Record wise, Detroit does have a 2 game advantage over them in the win loss column. San Antonio 40-17, Detroit 42-13. Against the spread, San Antonio was 30-25 and then 2 pushes. Detroit 31-23 and 1 push. So, they're pretty much great on the positive side of spreads. These teams, if they're winning, they're probably covering. So obviously, if Spurs win, they're going to be. It's a pick now, but if you got them last night, Spurs win, you're getting plus money. Detroit, they got to cover. If you're getting them now, whoever wins, you catch that. You catch that check. Um, Looking at the total, I got basically they're identical. Like I said, it looks like Spurs played 2 more games so far in the season. Spurs coming in at 24-33, Detroit 24-31. As far as in and out this conference, the Spurs do pretty great against the East, so they get to the playoffs, make it to the finals, book it. 14-4 against the East, Detroit pretty much the same. 14-6. If they happen, this might be the preview of the finals. Who knows? We never know. It's looking like it. They're both pretty much ascending to the top of their respective conferences. So we have to kind of look at that and say, is this a preview of the finals? Was yesterday's game Cleveland and OKC a preview of the finals? Even though OKC were missing their better 2 best players and still won. But looking at home and away, the Spurs are 15-13 against the spread. The Pistons are 14-13 against the spread. And then also total wise, they're still both under teams, 12-16 for the Spurs, and then 11-16 for the Pistons. Now, last 5 games, they're both 5-0. So we got a team that's not trying to take this L. So whoever coming out of this boxing match, just to use a boxing reference, is going to have a 6 game win streak, and the other team's going to go back to trying to go next game create that win streak all over again. Now the Detroit Pistons are 5-0 straight up and against the spread. Spurs do have a spread loss in their last 5, but they are 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread. So they're cooking no matter what. Spurs are on a great 8 game win streak. So it's kind of getting there to that point where teams, they know you roll into their stadium with an 8 game win streak. They're trying to break that streak. They don't, you're a good team, and on top of that, you got added bulletin board material as far as they're going to 8 game win streak. They're not about to come in here and run it up to 9. So it's another reason, another caveat. Even though the Pistons are on a 5 game win streak, they're at home, so they want to continue to get their 6 and also derail the Spurs from getting to the 9. So that's another little added little fuel for that I like the Pistons to have for the bulletin board. Like I say, and I did say the Pistons are 5 straight money line, 5 straight against the spread. And then the total wise, the Spurs went over the last game, and then the Pistons have went over 2 straight. So it's kind of one of those games where it's a handicap game, but it's more of a I like it. I like it as far as matchups. Obviously Wemby's gonna do his thing. Nobody on the Pistons gonna be able to cover Wemby. That's impossible. But I think every other position on the court. I mean, I might, maybe I say maybe I might take a bench player on the Spurs over um the Pistons. Maybe I don't want to go super into all 12 players that's gonna suit up, but at the end of the day, just to give a couple matchups that I would like to see, I like Cade Cunningham against Stephon Castle because you can't put De'Aaron Fox on him. Obviously, you're gonna have Thompson guarding Fox. So then I don't they're both pretty much Spurs. I think Castle runs the point per se, but they got De'Aaron Fox, so it's kind of tough for me to call it. But Castle sets the plays up, shall I say? Cade Cunningham is the offense for Detroit. So I don't know if Castle can guard him. He's way big. Castle's a good 6'5", but Cade Cunningham's 6'6", 6'7", and he's a bigger 6'6". He's a bigger body, bigger frame, bigger paws than Stephon Castle. So I just think that's not even a wash. I think Cade Cunningham has that. I'm sorry. As far as Thompson, I like Thompson. I think Thompson has better defense than De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is great. He gonna do his thing. He gonna make Thompson work. I don't know if Thompson can make him work, But I think Thompson can make De'Aaron frustrate him. He can make De'Aaron Fox probably take a couple shots that's going to take the team out of rhythm. And I think that's going to matter. As far as the three goes, that's a wash. Harrison Barnes, and then you got oh, I forgot his name right now. Tobias Harris over there at Detroit. That's a wash. I mean, I actually take Tobias over Harrison Barnes at this point. Detroit actually relies on Tobias to actually do the damage in the clutch for them. So, and I'm not saying he's the greatest clutch player, but in this scenario, Harrison is not the first, second, third, or the fourth option. He's more of a spot up shooter. Whereas in Tobias, they run actual plays for Tobias to go get. But Tobias might be their first quarter juggernaut over there in Detroit to get them off the hump, so everybody else can get warmed up. They go to Tobias. I watch a lot of Detroit games, so I think I give them a wash for the sake of saying that they're both at the same stage of their career, but at their respective teams, Tobias is worth more. Obviously, Wemby watches the whole lineup over there. Nobody can guard him. He's gonna do his thing. That's a mismatch. I don't want to say he can guard Jalen Duren, but we know he's smacking everything Jalen Duren going up layup wise. He's gonna have to put it in the bucket on Wemby. If you don't put it in the bucket, him, Paul Reed, they have to put it in the bucket. There ain't no layups versus Wemby. And the same goes for Wemby. And Wemby knows that. He barely got to jump to dunk. But after that, Detroit got a lot of guards on their bench. So does San Antonio. So it's kind of tough. The thing that I think is going to be the difference in this game is a Duncan Robinson. That's the player like a Duncan Robinson being able to catch fire is the biggest difference I think in this game. So I just think that if they got a few players over there that can just catch fire and just hit two, three threes in a quarter, maybe one or two quarters, and I don't know if the Spurs have shooters like that off their bench. That in the multiples, they went and got they shooter from Chicago before the trade deadline. They have a great supporting cast, and they're at home. As far as the Spurs kind of struggle in Detroit. Who doesn't struggle in Detroit? It's kind of one of those cities where you go to and it's cold depending on the time of the year you're going there. So you'll probably hold up in a hotel. Detroit fan base is obviously great. Blue collar town, all blue collar fan bases are great. If you don't know that, then it is what it is. I come from Chicago, blue collar town. Bears, we go out there, no shirt on, snow, ready to get it in, ready for the losses. Now we feel great now, but we out there, rain, sleet, snow, ready to lose. We don't care. As far as San Antonio and Detroit, um, it's kind of tough because they're not a great road team against the spread in Detroit. 2-4 against the spread last six playing in Detroit. Obviously, Detroit at home has been balling at home. Detroit 22 and 6 straight up at home, and then you got 19 and 11 on the road straight up for the Spurs. As far as the spread, pretty even, 16 and 14 for the Spurs, 15 and looks like 15 and 12 or 13 for the Pistons. So not too crazy ahead of the spread in the win column, and not nobody's in the loss column. Only a couple games above the loss column against the spread. So not too big of a cushion on that to go off of. Obviously, both teams, like I said, was fire, money line, and against the spread last 5 games. The thing that's just sticking out to me is that the Spurs don't do great in Detroit, and you're just asking Detroit just to win the game. That's it. Just win the game. That's it. You don't have to do nothing spectacular. At this point, all the sharps have all bought all the value off the Spurs. So if you got the Spurs at 2.5, 3, hey, you feel good right now looking at it as a pick. You feel like you got over on them. Hopefully, Detroit wins by 1 if you got them at a pick, and everybody wins today. So if that's the case, then sometimes the book just loses. We trying to murk the book, man. But I took Detroit money line as a pick. I got him as a pick. I got in there. It was a pick. I just went in there right away. I didn't even wait, think about it, nothing. I know what I like. Let me take Detroit as his pick. And then, like I say, I like the North Carolina at home plus 3.5. If you could give it a little time, if you can get North Carolina plus 4, anything north of 3.5 is better. I like a money line. I like a money line. When I say that, it happens. So, but I'm taking the points. I'm not. I know the money line plus money always great, but I'm trying to cash a check. So if they lose by one, I don't cash a check if I got them on the money line. If I got them plus 3.5 and they lose by one, two, or three, I cash a check. That's what we talking about, cashing checks. We're not trying to, oh man, we barely lost all the time. It's some, we can't win. Ain't nobody's 100%, but we just trying to cash a check. And if we gotta take the points to cash that check, so be it. So, like I said, we got two plays today. We got the North Carolina Tar Heels at home plus 3.5 playing Louisville Cardinals, and then we got the Detroit Pistons as a pick. I like a -1. Money line, anything up to 130, 135. I'm rocking with it. Put $1.35, 135 on it. Whatever you got to do with it to get it to get your even money back. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and sign out today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Total Payout Podcast. It's your host Trouble, aka Merc the Book. And go ahead and help me out, man. Go ahead and give me a like and subscribe at the end of this. Like I say, you guys, thank you. It's a Monday, February 23rd. You guys have a great one. Thank you.